Hello, and welcome back to Shatter Our Souls with Mario. Today, we are tackling Mario Kart Wii's Flower Cup. Now, last time we did finish the All Cup Tour on Mario Kart Double Dash, and proved definitively that you can beat Mario Kart Double Dash without the use of items. And today, I think we're going to start the run of figuring out whether or not Mario Kart Wii is just as nice to us. And a couple quick statements before we get going. Number one, I can run into item boxes. Item boxes on their own are not the problem. The problem is the usage of items. Typically, in Double Dash, my ruling was I could not intentionally use an item. And this rule stands. If I drop an item because I get hit by a blue shell or a shock, perfectly fine. However, there is a caveat. At no point in time am I able to pick up a thundercloud from an item box and continue the run. This is due to the fact that the thundercloud item automatically gets used. And therefore, while it is not within the ordinary sense of, yeah, okay, I'm using this intentionally, I think that that's enough of a gray area that I'm going to lie on the side of caution rather than on the side of, yeah, I didn't use it, technically. Because that to me is just no fun. And third and finally, we have to kind of go through and discuss what this is going to look like. And so, for 50cc, we'll be going through each cup one at a time. Cart in hand, each cart character combination will be at the whims of a randomizer. This means that I am not choosing anything about what I'm up against. If that means that I get a really bad hand and I'm using Wario and the we'll say the off-roader, congratulations, I'm using Wario and the off-roader. Basically, I gotta keep trying until something clicks. And that's gonna be very frustrating for me and maybe enjoyable for you. Secondly, Mario Kart Wii has a different relationship with items than Mario Kart Double Dash does. And to explain this relationship, I'm going to look at how the effect of a red shell hits. It sounds really silly. Of course a red shell hits, it slows you down and whatever. But Mario Kart Wii getting hit by a red shell is a immediate stop. You go from full speed to no speed. Whereas Double Dash, when you got hit, you did a little bit of a roll and you moved on with your life. It sucked, you lost some momentum, but you didn't lose everything. Mario Kart Wii, you lose everything as far as the speed you have built up. Which means, in theory, that any time that I get hit, it's going to dramatically reduce my odds of victory. Now, Mario Kart Wii is also known for something called karting. This is that the vehicles or the items, AI, you name it, are going to try to knock you out of first place as much as possible. And this is an intentional, I suppose, feature of the game. It's intended to make it so that a good player doesn't fly ahead of the rest of the game, while a weaker player stays kind of closer to the middle or back of the pack. This is known primarily as rubber band AI. Rubber band AI is very, very commonly used, especially in racers, especially around this time, where the better you do, the better they do, and vice versa. So, why do I bring this up? Because if you fall too far ahead, or if you start going way too far ahead, let's say, they're going to start bombarding me with absolutely everything they have. Blue shells, shocks, red shells, anything that they can get at me at a distance, they're gonna use. And so we end up in this kind of awkward state where I know that it's gonna come. I know that they're going to get me. The question isn't if, but when. And lastly, the goal. The goal of this run, generally speaking, is going to be to get gold. Now, getting gold in every cup, regardless of the speed, difficulty, you name it, is the main focus. I don't care if I'm 1 point ahead of second place or if I got carded something terrible. I got gold. I don't care if I get 1 star or a D rank. I got gold. So knowing that is going to be the be-all end-all determination factor of how this goes. If I get gold, I can move on to the next cup and all Gouda, right? So, with all of the housekeeping out of the way, so far we have finished the first 2 tracks of the Flower Cup. And the first track was a quick run through, I believe it was Mario Circuit. Second, Coconut Mall. And third, DK Summit. Now, I'm going to be very clear on this. My favorite track in Mario Kart Double Dash was DK's Mountain. DK Summit is just a modified DK Mountain in my mind. Snow physics and dolphining for the win. And, one other major rule, so to speak, is that any ultra shortcuts or anything that greatly breaks the game, I won't be touching. Because in my mind, I can break the game and get an easy victory on this track over here or that track, but if it requires me to break the game to make it possible, then I don't necessarily think that it's possible for the average Mario Kart player to get it. Some high-level techs like dolphining are perfectly fine. Knowing how to use your drift, perfectly fine. Knowing how to use items in what circumstances, perfectly fine. But the instant that we start getting into breaking the game to make it happen, that's where you start to lose me. Anywho, DK Mountain, Snowy Summit. Gotta love games in general, especially in I'm going to go with the 90s, had a fascination with snowboarding. You had 1080 Avalanche, you had quote-unquote snowboard kids. You had entire tracks and racing games devoted to the mountains. And all honesty, these are great depictions of racing games on the side of mountains. And generally speaking, mountain tracks are by far and away some of my favorites in all of Mario Kart for some reason. And I believe that the comparison actually comes from the fact that my favorite type of race in video games has always been point-to-point. Races that are effectively not a lap-based race, but a race that is based entirely on getting from point A to point B as fast as possible. It doesn't matter what paths you take to get there. What matters is you got from point A to point B. And so, a lot of that, I think, comes from the reality of every track should be different. And if one lap works, great, then fantastic. 3 laps, to me, gives 3 chances for something to go wrong. And generally speaking, the higher the lap count, the more likely that anything that could go wrong does. Okay, we're going to thread the needle. Perfect. Part of that, if you look at something like NASCAR and their infinite left turn situation, Every single one of those racers is trying to push their vehicle to the absolute limits. But NASCAR, generally speaking, if your vehicle is going to make it to the top when you're at the bottom, chances are you, the racer, end up getting some major upset somewhere during the race where you manage to get away without needing a pit stop or something. Every single race has something related to the quality of your vehicle and its maintenance that comes up in terms of how the vehicle and really the race itself runs. And so, with Mario Kart, the 3-lap structure more or less just gives them a chance to say, wow, okay, that was poor. Gives them a chance to say, hey, we're going to mess you up as many times as we can because we can. So, we're at Wario's Gold Mine. I just fell off a cliff, and we are going to try to fight our way back to first place. Theoretically, I should be able to make it even if I get in 12th. But why not go for the slam dunk 60 points today? At least that's my goal at this moment in time. Gold is nice. Absolute win is beneficial. Oofty. I'm seeing people getting knocked around left, right, and center. I'm seeing people get knocked off bridges. It's great. You know, Wario's Gold Mine is one of those tracks that I used to really dislike. I found that the more frantic nature of this track and where the placement of the various turns and even blind sections within the game were really left a lot to be desired as far as my intended gameplay style. But Wario's Gold Mine is one of those tracks that got better with age in my mind. And it could be just that I'm playing games differently now than I was 15 years ago. Oh geez, almost 20 years ago. Oh man, I feel old. Anyways, the way the games are played now compared to then really leaves a lot to be desired in a lot of cases. And for me, playing Wario Kart back 20 years ago now, almost, I ended up with this really defining mentality of everything has to be perfect. My poor brother used to hate playing Mario Kart with me because I would tell him, no, I want to get first place. And I never gave him a chance. And I admittedly regret that. I would love to go back and redo those times. But, dare I say, Mario Kart Double Dash had this, if you got a good score, you're great. Mario Kart Wii, for whatever reason, it felt so much harder to get a good ranking that I became somewhat obsessed with it. And that led to less than stellar situations. Wario's Gold Mine was one of those tracks that always felt unpredictable. And because of that, I disliked this track because it was one of those tracks that very frequently ended runs. Anyways, we finished off with 57 points. Couldn't have gotten last as Bowser got 49. But, be that as it may, we're at the awards ceremony. And our top 3 players are Peach, Bowser, and Koopa Troopa. And the only one who's not using the standard cart is the Koopa Troopa. You know, ordinarily I'd say that's just luck, but that's kind of uncanny. Anywho, if you like what you see, drop a like, leave a subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below. Until next time, I hope you all have a good one.